Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. And another heavyweight news mashup video today, starting with Frank Warren, who's moved to reassure the public that his April 11th show, headlined by Daniel Dubois and Joyce, is still going ahead as planned. So he has issued a statement, and see here on screen, he did issue it on social media as well as his website, which is where this is from. So he says, in light of press speculation regarding upcoming British boxing fights amid concerns over coronavirus, Queensberry Promotions wish to assure all fans looking forward to the Daniel Dubois vs Joyce event at the O2 next month that as matters currently stand, it is not in jeopardy. All major public gatherings, including this near sellout event, are in the hands of the relevant authorities, which in this case is the British Boxing Board of Control and the government. The government has clarified that all such events will go ahead at this time. Accordingly, all parties involved in the event, including the venue, broadcaster, and of course the fighters, are proceeding as normal. A spokesperson for the O2 said, "At this time, we understand that the fight is going ahead as planned, and we continue to take advice from the World Health Organization and Public Health England, as well as that of local government." The O2 remains fully open as usual, and events scheduled at the O2 Arena are currently going ahead. Should this change, we will communicate details to visitors and ticket holders as soon as possible. I'll just go to the next little bit here. So he says, of course, Queensberry prioritise the well-being of those attending or participating in the event and will constantly monitor the government position and health of the boxers. Any update will be posted online through our official channels, and any announcements from other sources should be disregarded. And then he finishes with, in keeping with this stoic position of the government today, however, we remain optimistic to present an incredible night of boxing to a packed O2 crowd, and there are only a few tickets remaining. So that is Frank Warren's statement. So Joyce and Dubois at this point still to go ahead. And Michael Benson of TalkSport, he was actually in the gym with Daniel Dubois watching him spar, and then he interviewed him afterwards, and Dubois basically said of Joyce, "Joyce is a worthy contender, but I'm more than confident I'll win. I've got to win. I refuse to lose. I just go in with that mentality. I think a lot of it's internal. What you've got inside if you're that way inclined and that type of person and fighter. If it comes to a firefight, I'll be more than up to scratch and ready to take him out." Meanwhile, Bryant Jennings is also taking a firm stance against the coronavirus. So he's issued a post on social media. See here on screen. "Corona on some shit right now. I got to get out before they stop letting people out. I'm from the trenches, catching shit normal where I'm from. Just got to know how to move out of here. But on the real, I ain't being ignorant, but cancer kills hundreds of thousands per year, but I don't see nobody trying to prevent that. Cancer is a more dangerous disease. Don't take your mask off to bite that burger. The slander begins now." And then he says IDGAF though, which I'm not going to read out in full, but if you see this picture that he posted with his words there, so he's flying to the UK, and presumably he is going to be joining Derek Chisora for his training camp for a May 23rd fight against Oleksandr Usyk. Chisora and Jennings good friends, and they've sparred numerous rounds together in recent years. Meanwhile, Mauricio Suleiman is sort of going the other way compared to a lot of governments and health organizations. So he is saying, I've spoken to so many experts and doctors about the virus, and the fact is that the world is reacting wrongly. Please educate yourself about it, and then you will understand that we must not panic, and if life can continue as usual with specific precautions. To me, I would sort of sum it up as Mauricio Suleiman is probably taking this position because he is very interested in the WBC and how it could be impacted by what's going on right now. And to me, this smacks of him wanting to ensure that continues. Behind the Gloves has reported that Dave Allen has confirmed he will be travelling to Kiev in April to help Oleksandr Usyk prepare for his clash against Chisora. Hashtag Usyk Chisora, they say. And actually, I did have a look for Dave Allen's Twitter, but he must have deactivated or something because I just could not find it. But yeah, for Dave Allen to go to spar with Oleksandr Usyk, it's actually not a bad choice of opponent because Allen and Chisora, they both sort of trudge forward looking for big right hands. And obviously, Allen is probably a cut or two below Chisora, but in terms of trying to get a guy to replicate what he can do with some of the stuff he will be doing, not a bad choice at all. Meanwhile, Eddie Hearn has told Sky Sports that there will be significant disadvantages for Usyk in the heavyweight division, but what he loses in size and power he makes up with speed and skill. That's the equalizer. Does the footwork and skill of Usyk beat the heart, willpower, strength and power of Chisora? Does it beat the power of Chisora at the O2, an arena where he has rolled the clock back so many times? Chisora is difficult to beat at the O2, so I'm surprised Usyk took this fight. He is mandatory but willing to put it on the line. Style-wise, Usyk isn't at the top of anyone's list. With him transitioning to the heavyweight division, people fancy their chances a lot more. I would have preferred Tony Bellew to fight Usyk at heavyweight, but he wanted to try and become undisputed cruiserweight champion. And of Derek Chisora in this fight, which had been pushed back because of injury concerns for Oleksandr Usyk, specifically an elbow injury, wanting to make sure it was healed properly. Hearn also adds that Chisora is not overly happy, and David Haye has done a good job of keeping him on the leash because they were ready to go in February then March. Joseph Parker's manager and advisor David Higgins is still talking up the prospect of a fight with Junior Fa. And before I get to these quotes which he's spoken to News Hub, my read on that, the fact that he is still talking it up means that it is a very live possibility, because otherwise he would have flipped the switch and gone sort of anti and sort of, said a number of other things, maybe a few derogatory comments. But he says Junior Fa and Parker would be huge in New Zealand because of the local rivalry. But globally, the likes of Chisora, Povetkin, Usyk, White would be bigger. Joseph would happily fight any of them. Fa has a decent record. I think he's ranked number 6 by the WBO, so if the others are tied up, it might make sense to fight Junior Fa and then move into one of those bigger global names next. Joseph won't shy away from any of them. He's champing at the bit to receive a formal notification of who's next, when and where. Joseph will fight anyone, and he leaves that to the team, but he would gladly fight Junior Fa. And Higgins concludes, if the opportunity presented itself, Joseph would love to show the world what he can do and put Junior Fa back in his place. So currently, Junior Fa undefeated, but with no real notable names on his resume. They do have a rivalry going back to the amateurs almost a decade ago, splitting wins 2 apiece. He says it would be huge in New Zealand. Yeah, I'm a little bit on the fence about that because Junior Fa in New Zealand, not a household name. Maybe they could sort of talk it up and try to get casual fans interested, but I don't see this being as big as some of Parker's previous pay-per-views in New Zealand. But clearly they're still looking at that fight. The Robert Helenius and Adam Kownacki fight at the Barclays Centre this past weekend drew almost 1.7 million views on average. And those numbers are relatively in line with Kownacki's previous headline fight at the Barclays, which attracted a peak audience of 1.769 million. And rounding out this heavyweight news mashup video, Robert Helenius, as you can see, back in the gym, and in total there it looks like he's lifting about 130 kilograms, which is 270 pounds or so. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.